In Scooby-Doo, you may have heard about the band called the Hex Girls. They have first appeared in Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, as they also appeared in Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire. They did, however, make their appearance in an episode of What's New Scooby-Doo that was made around, I guess, the early 2000s. They also appeared in an episode of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, but you never ever wondered about their lives, like what their past lives were before they became the Hex Girls. Well, there were a couple of theories and even fanfictions explaining that, but what I'm about to tell you, you may look at the Hex Girls differently when you see them, like in the movies or the episodes of Scooby-Doo. The Hex Girls are a gothic band, which involves three band members that are goths. They have songs throughout Scooby-Doo, such as the Hex Girl, Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air, Trap of Love, and etc. But we are about to see them at least 4 times in Scooby-Doo movies and TV shows. What backstories behind them, you may be asking? Well, allow me to explain the possibilities there are here. For one, we have the lead singer Thorn, aka Sally McKnight. She is the daughter of Mr. McKnight and grew up in Oak Haven. She lived with her father before she started a band with Dusk and Luna. But there are something that most people don't understand. When Thorn mentions that she's part Wiccan, she explains that she's 1/16th Wiccan blood on her mother's side. A lot of people were confused as they were wondering what happened to her mother, but that was never mentioned. However, with Thorn, she lives with her father and she could have been adopted. But I believe when Thorn's mother died after giving birth to her, Mr. McKnight had to raise his daughter by himself, and it was a struggle to be a single dad. He raised Thorn very well and he always was there for her. He also wished that her mother was there to watch her grow up. Thorn, who grew up, she looked a lot like her mother. To Mr. McKnight, she was like her mother, with black hair with green eyes. Thorn never knew who mother was. Whenever she asked her father, he would basically change the subject quickly, just the sake of his daughter being scared. When Thorn got to her preteen years, she was in high school and she was being bullied. People used to judge her due to the fact that she's a goth. When she was called many names at school, most of them being her very hurtful, to the point where she became depressed, she hated being bullied. She hated school until she met Dusk and Luna. When she finds out that Dusk and Luna were also goths, the girls all have something in common. They became friends as soon as they all met each other. They started to hang out together as they became very good friends. Thorn decided that they should start a band together, which Luna and Dusk both agreed. Now that I explained about Thorn's backstory, let's talk about Dusk. We all know she plays the drums. Here's what Dusk's backstory is about. Dusk had 2 parents while growing up. She had a good childhood and her mother was sweet and kind, while her father was cold and heartless. Dusk's father was heartless after Dusk was born. He wasn't a dad to her. He mostly leaves his wife to look after his child. He mostly goes to work and never comes home till late at night. However, when Dusk was 4 years old, she saw her father cheating on her mother with another woman. Dusk then goes to her mother, and then she tells her mother of what her father was doing. So her mother confronted her father that night, and Dusk was in her bedroom. She could hear shouting and screaming from her parents' bedroom, and she had no idea what was happening. She just listened to the shouting and screaming, and after an argument with her parents the parents both had a divorce. With that being said, Dusk's mother took Dusk with her, and they moved into at least an apartment 3 hours away from her father. Dusk didn't have any memories of her father, and he didn't want to be a father. Ever since her mother conceived her, he only stayed with his wife because she was 19 years old. When Dusk turned 16, she was friends with Thorn and Luna at the time. She went out with her 2 girlfriends at the movies and etc. Dusk always had fun with her friends. She always pushed her father away from her mind. But however, when Thorn was pulling to her friend's driveway, there were 2 police cars along 2 officers. One of the officers noticed Thorn and walked up to Thorn, the driver. He asked her if Dusk was her and Luna's friends, which they both said yes. Thorn then got out of their car along with her friends. The officers both explained to her that Dusk's mother was murdered in her own home. Dusk would then ask who murdered her, and the officer explained to Dusk that someone broke into her house while she was out, and whoever broke in killed her mother. Dusk was heartbroken by this, so the officer asked if she had a father, which Dusk replied that her father cheated on her mother, and that she said that she does have an aunt who knows her mother very well. So Dusk moved in to live with her aunt. Now we got the Dusk's backstory out of the way, let's talk about Luna. Now, she mentions that her father is a dentist, but her mother wasn't mentioned at all. I believe that Luna's mother travels a lot. She travels like 24 hours a day, so Luna could have a mother, but she started traveling when Luna was 13 years old. Luna's mother started traveling because she has a business to do in certain cities and countries. Luna's father had a struggle as a single dad at one point, but he had to do what he can just for his daughter to be happy. Luna would come home from school alone, but in the evening her father would be home. Luna couldn't remember the last time when she saw her mother. The only time she could remember her mother was her birthday, family gatherings, and holidays. So Luna didn't have really much of her memories of her mother in her teen years. When she met Dusk and Thorn, she got along great with them. All of the Hex girls had something in common. They all had their struggles, except for Dusk, who managed to go pull through them with her aunt, as they were all single parents. And they all had single parents, but Dusk, who has an aunt, as soon as the girls all graduate high school, they started to make their own band. And that is how the Hex girls got together.